Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tantra's Mantra, where we go behind and beyond the tech news headlines. I am your host Prakash Sangam, founder and principal at Tantra Analyst. Today we will talk about an interesting technology that most of us have either used or experienced, but without knowing too much about it or without paying too much attention. I actually got interested in it when I recently visited Uniqlo apparel store here in San Diego. They have an excellent checkout system, where you take all of your items to the self checkout. Instead of painstakingly scanning each and every barcode, you put all of your items in a basket and voila, immediately, almost instantly, it scans them and gives you the item list, and you pay and you go. So that kind of got me interested in what is the technology behind it and such. And I came to know that it is RFID. I mean, RFID is a pretty broad set of technologies, but the specific that is being used there is RFID in UHF band. It's also called as RAIN RFID. And I learned that it's been used many places, including Walmart, Macy's, CVS, Lowe's, Zara, and other stores, primarily for theft prevention. So you have RFID tags, either that are clipped onto the apparel or pasted as labels on the boxes. So they're deactivated rather, when you check out. But if somebody tries to steal, if when these boxes with these tags go close to the readers, which are placed at the entrance of the store, they make the alarm and let the security know and so on, right? So it's been used quite widely for theft prevention, but that technology is ready to go beyond this limited utility and use case. It's being applied to supply chain logistics and managing it well in terms of inventory management, shipping, and so on. Of course, it needed some updates and changes and so on to the technology to make it really appropriate for a supply chain. There are questions on how it is done, what are the changes, and so on. To do all that, we have with us today Gagan Luthra, VP of Product at RFID leader Impinj. Gagan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you for having me here today.
All right, let's get on with it. So, could you tell us your background and current roles and responsibilities, Gagan, at Impinj?
Yeah, absolutely. I currently serve as the Vice President of Product and Strategy at Impinj.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to bucket what Impinj does in two things in terms of, core businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We are the industry leader in RAIN RFID tag ICs.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the chips that go into the RAIN RFID tags and labels that you see in your example at the apparel store you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of our core business.
Yeah.
And then essentially to enable the adoption of the core RFID tag business, we have something that we broadly call systems and solutions,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this includes all of the infrastructure and the solutioning around those specific use cases to actually make the end-to-end system work.
Mm-hmm.
So that portfolio of our business includes chips on the RFID reader side.
Mm-hmm.
It includes our own Impinj first-party branded readers,
I see.
but also solutions, algorithms, and cloud services to make specific use cases all come together.
Mm-hmm.
So my core charter at Impinj is systems and solutions,
Mm-hmm.
whereas my peer runs the primary tag IC side of the business.
Yeah.
I've been with Impinj for about 2 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and I've spent over a couple decades in the technology industry. I had my foundational years in the semiconductor industry with a stint at Cypress Semi, where I spent a lot of time in embedded systems, microcontrollers, Bluetooth low energy chipsets, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But being native to the Seattle area, I
Mm-hmm.
also had the pleasure and opportunity to work at and learn from high tech organizations like Amazon and Microsoft,
Yep.
where I've spent time in consumer voice AI applications and AI infrastructure during the GPT worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a fun ride, and I'm really thrilled here to be here at Impinj for the last couple of years and contributing to the mission of connecting every physical thing.
Cool. So, and RFID as a technology is at a pivotal point, right? Ready to take off and make it even bigger than what it is already today. So, could you tell us briefly about where it has come from, where it is now, where it is going?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a fascinating last I want to say two and a half decades for RAIN RFID, or what you've articulated as ultra high frequency RFID.
Mm-hmm.
It has its origins actually at MIT,
Mm-hmm.
when one of the groups there was funded by a bunch of external consumer companies,
Mm-hmm.
and it was their auto identification group
Mm-hmm.
that was funded to essentially come up with what we now call the electronic product code.
Mm-hmm.
That gave birth to first version of the standards that eventually became RAIN RFID, and how we number barcodes and RFID tags in retail applications. So it has, like I said, its foundations in academia,
Mm-hmm.
but it was very well supported by some visionaries like Walmart specifically back in late 90s, early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
who had this vision of a barcode
Mm-hmm.
that would be electronic and wireless,
Mm-hmm.
right? So whereas the original vision of the technology was to make these paper-faced, human-readable barcodes electronic and wireless,
Yeah.
it's obviously expanded in terms of use case and applications a lot beyond that, but not exclusive to it as well.
Okay. Cool. So it's basically wireless barcode, right? I mean, barcode everybody has seen on packages and so on. So RFID is kind of making a wireless version of it so that you can automate and do the reading and scanning easier rather than you manually doing it, right?
Yeah, I think that's one very easy way to provide that analogy, but I would say it's a lot more than just a
Mm-hmm.
barcode today.
Mm-hmm.
If you just take it down to the primitive level, it's a wireless, battery-free, unique identifier,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So every RFID chip that eventually gets put in a tag, and the tag could be anything from a paper face label to a sticker to even a thread that's sewn into an apparel,
Yeah.
to things like metal tags on locomotives.
Yeah.
It can take its life in many different form factors, but ultimately the chip in itself is about the size of a grain of sand.
Yeah.
It consumes no batteries,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a few memory banks on it, if you will.
Yeah.
One is a unique, factory identifier
Mm-hmm.
from where the chip was manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
The other is typically a programmable memory bank where end customers will put in a product EPC representative of a barcode,
Okay.
but then also a unique serialization. So, one of the things with barcodes is it tells you that this item is a blue shirt in, let's say, medium even,
Yeah.
but it doesn't tell you that it's the 945th unique version of that blue shirt in size medium.
Mm-hmm.
So with RAIN RFID, because you've got unique serialization in addition to the factory origin identification and the programmable memory bank for the EPC,
Mm-hmm.
it can bring a lot more value to supply chain operations through and through, all the way from manufacturing of items through its transport and logistics in the retail store behind and both in front, but also has a life now beyond point of sale all the way through recycling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
legislation and regulation pushing towards more responsible recycling of items. So we see a lot of momentum and adoption toward there. So again, barcode is an easy way to explain it, but really it's just an identifier for any physical thing because it doesn't require any batteries, lasts for the lifetime of the product, and it could represent a digital twin for any physical product.
Yeah, and yeah, as I said, it's basically you can use it for tracking it from cradle to grave, right? Throughout the supply chain. And I think that's where a lot of its value lies. And also, since it works wirelessly and works without battery, which is extremely important. Can you explain that a little bit how it can work without batteries?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, the at the technology layer, at the silicon and RF layer,
Mm-hmm.
RFID works on the concept of backscatter.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, the chip is inactive until it's attempted to be read by a reader, an
Mm-hmm.
RFID reader.
Okay.
An RFID reader can come in many different form factors. It can look like a mobile phone. It can look like a pistol grip handheld device that you'll often see,
Mm-hmm.
retail employees or warehouse employees carry.
Mm-hmm.
It can also look like a fixed infrastructure device, not very different from, let's say, an enterprise grade wireless router,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And really, the difference in these is the form factor and then the size of the antenna on them.
Mm-hmm.
But underlying core technology is the same.
Yeah.
When an RFID reader sends its RF waves trying to interrogate an RFID chip and any RFID chips within its field of view,
Yeah.
those RF waves essentially energize the chip,
Mm-hmm.
and then the chip backscatters. So it can get energized essentially at microwatts of power,
Mm-hmm.
and then it backscatters just nanowatts of power, that's 10 to the negative 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then the readers are sensitive enough to pick up hundreds, if not 1,000 tags per second,
Mm-hmm.
replying to it from up to 25, 30 feet away
Yeah.
with its unique identification characteristics.
Yeah.
So you've gone essentially from a you know one by one manual scanning of, let's say, a barcode,
Yeah.
going back to that example, to a always on sensing system that can read thousands of these tags every second
Yeah.
without line of sight, without human interaction if you're using the right type of infrastructure,
Yeah.
and not at a given moment in time, but continuous reading as well.
And it's real time information, right? Rather than like if you're doing an inventory check, if you're using barcode, it's only the last time when you did the scan, right? You don't know how old it is, whether how accurate it is or not. Here with this, you get real time information for inventory, for example, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very astute observation, actually. Barcode scans are only as good as the last time you scanned
Mm-hmm.
a given item in your inventory.
Yeah.
And handheld based RFID inventorying is also fairly commonplace.
Yeah.
But now that many retailers and other enterprises have seen the value and the ROI
Yeah.
of being able to scan it autonomously, they're moving from, let's say, an employee walking around with a handheld to do the inventory to investing in fixed infrastructure, much like wireless routers.
Mm-hmm.
That's overhead deployed through the retail store or the warehouse, and always reading, always scanning, getting every second updates, or what's meaningful likely is like hourly updates or 15-minute updates. So
Yeah.
you've got an inventory read that's far more refreshed.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I talked to a lot of retailers and big box stores.
Uh-huh.
They tell me that back in the day, inventory used to be a once a quarter or maybe once or twice a year manual process,
Yeah.
where you would shut down the store or come in after hours, and a set number of employees would walk through and actually count,
Yeah.
either manually or by use of barcode, what products were actually in a store.
Yeah.
Imagine going from there to being able to know your real-time inventory, not just in one store, but let's say across 6,000 stores you have for a given brand globally.
Yeah.
Then you truly start getting what you call, what the industry calls omni-channel visibility,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have the ability to see not just where those blue shirts and mediums are across the globe in your warehouses or your retail stores,
Yeah.
but you also have the intelligence to be able to derive decisions and insights on where are those blue shirts and mediums selling.
Yeah.
Are they selling in Florence, Italy, or in New York, United States?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make these decisions to say, I want to maybe reroute inventory towards of a given item to a given location.
Yeah.
You can start seeing these trends, and obviously with advancements in AI models, you can start making predictions to see how what the upcoming trends may be. And this happens a lot in fast fashion. As an example,
Yeah.
trends often last only 6 to 12 weeks.
Yep.
By the time you've got the inventory to the right place to pick up on that trend, it's already too late.
Yeah.
A technology like this, combined with an insights layer, is giving those fast fashion companies the ability to make predictive decisions so that they can always serve up the right demand to their
Yeah,
consumers.
indeed. I mean, in the world of AI, data is power, right? I mean, and with RFID, you get tons of real time and very important relevant data. So we'll talk about AI in a little bit in detail. So coming to the cost of RFID, I mean, it has tons of opportunity, but when you
Mhm.
compare it to, it's a barcode, it has, many features and advancements and advantages. But cost wise, barcode is almost zero, right? But here we are seeing at what now, 3 to 5 cents tag right now, and even the readers are kind of a little bit expensive than the barcode readers.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right that the cost of printing a barcode on a existing label is virtually free,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where the cost myth lies is barcodes may be free to print, but they are expensive to read,
Yeah.
right?
It's a huge
You can
opex
only
to
read
it to
them one
manage.
at a yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, right? You can only read them one at a time.
yeah,
In a majority of the use cases, you're still employing human labor to
yeah,
read them.
yeah.
So not only is it the cost of labor, it's the efficiency and the time spent on the operations.
Mm-hmm.
The example that I provided, where a store may shut down overnight and send a couple employees to walk every single aisle
Yeah,
to scan all the barcodes.
yeah.
Yeah, you can count inventory that way, but it would take you a few nights and a few bodies to go do that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the world we live in, where labor costs are increasing, where time efficiencies have direct impact on real-time decision making for businesses,
Mm-hmm.
that cost myth of scanning barcodes is where I really like to try and educate our adopters and end customers on. Is once you invest in RFID,
Yeah.
and especially if you invest in it across different applications in your supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
the return on that investment, those 3 cents per label investment, or the few hundred to a few $1,000s of infrastructure cost,
Yeah.
actually starts paying tremendous returns.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this a lot, where many enterprises will start piloting or scale up RFID in one use case.
Yeah.
Let's say I want backroom inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Where we encourage them is, hey, you've already done the hard part
Yeah.
of tagging all your items,
Yeah.
and you've already got the learnings of deploying infrastructure in a given location and in a given use case.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get 10x, 100x a return if you actually start taking advantage of that common identifier, that common unique identifier,
Yeah.
throughout your supply chain.
Yeah.
You start putting the labels in during manufacturing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a concept called source tagging.
Yeah.
And then not just what was manufactured, but what left manufacturing,
Yeah.
right? What route it got put on, how it got routed through logistics, when it arrived in your warehouses. Did the right stuff arrive?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did it arrive in the right place?
Yeah.
All the way through the back of your store, inside your store. Even within the store, there's many wonderful use cases and applications where enterprises keep getting those multiples of returns.
Yeah.
When you started the talk, you talked about self checkout,
Mm-hmm.
right? So self checkout makes a lot of sense. Instead of the consumer having to scan one item at a time, you drop your bag in the bin and you get your 20 items on the screen,
Yeah.
all ready for a checkout. So you've made your checkout process much faster,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have shorter lines, customers doing the high value purchase in a much shorter time.
Yeah.
But you've also improved the customer experience
Yeah.
by a great degree.
Mm-hmm.
It has a wow factor to it. But then you can take that same technology identifier, and with overhead readers, you would know what your inventory is.
Yeah.
With exit readers, you know what sort of shrinkage or theft you're having through your store.
Yeah.
Through point of sale readers, you know what's coming up to the cash registers. Or through fitting room readers, you know what type of merchandise people are taking to the back of the store to try, and whether those items actually got purchased or left behind or discarded.
Yeah.
So putting RFID reading
Yeah.
in all these different places around a given store,
Mm-hmm.
and then overall through your supply chain, while still having just that one time investment of the tag infrastructure,
Yeah.
or the tag cost,
Mm-hmm.
then really starts giving you those multiples of your return, and just these really valuable insights that retailers really yearn for. I like to use the analogy of cookies
Mm-hmm.
on the web.
Yeah.
When you do online shopping, you know exactly everything about your and your consumer's behavior,
Correct. Yeah.
right? They spent on a page, which items they looked at, what they added to cart,
Yeah.
what they bought, what they did not buy.
Yeah.
This RFID tag on an item level gives you the breadcrumbs to essentially create physical cookies
Yeah.
in a non-digital world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Indeed.
power of that is really immense.
Yeah, indeed. And it's like one time investment and you recoup that for a long time, right? Unlike barcodes. Yeah. So are the costs coming down? I think used to be even higher for tax, and then now 3 to 5 cents. Do you see that curve even improving further as the scale and volume increases?
Yeah, absolutely. There's two elements contributing to that. There
Mhm.
is one is just the economics of the industry, right? As adoption grows,
Yeah.
the unit economics become a lot more attractive to the adopters.
Yeah.
As an industry, RFID is doing about 1 billion tags, 1 billion net new tags shipped every week,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? So it's in that range of 50 to 60 billion unique tags per year type of industry. So those types of volumes are obviously helping drive the cost down.
Uh-huh.
The other one is the continued innovation on the silicon and process node side,
Mm-hmm.
right? Chips are getting smaller,
Mm.
chips are getting more sensitive,
Yeah.
chips are moving down in the process technologies,
Yeah.
and all of that with just semiconductor physics is also driving costs down. So both of those are complementing each other very well.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting time for the industry because the technology is there, it's proven, the adoption curve is seeing hockey stick, especially in certain segments.
Mm-hmm.
And then other adjacent segments are realizing that, hey, I'm not taking advantage of this, but maybe my supplier or my customer is.
Mm-hmm.
So they're feeling left out, and the number of calls we get every day from folks saying, hey, we saw XYZ enterprise
Yeah.
talk about their success story from RFID.
Yeah.
We're not exactly in this space, but we're adjacent to it. How can we get the same benefits?
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
that's really wonderful to see, and these things are contributing to the momentum that eventually lead down to the cost reduction.
Cool. But when you're taking the same technology from the simple labels to like full supply chain, logistics, automation, and so on, you need some changes and upgrade the technology and so on, right? A clarification on the RFIDs that we are talking about are called RAIN RFIDs. Basically, RAIN is the alliance that comes up with the specifications and so on, right? Tell us about that.
That is correct. Yeah, RAIN is the industry alliance, if you will, that comes up with the specification, and the specification has been really critical and important for the adoption of the technology over the last couple of decades, right? Because
Yeah.
it's made it interoperable.
Mm-hmm.
So much like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or any of these other wireless technologies that consumers are typically more familiar with,
Yeah.
you can buy an RFID tag from any supplier,
Mm-hmm.
and it can have a chip from any semiconductor manufacturer.
Yeah.
Similarly, you can buy an RFID reader from any device maker,
Mm-hmm.
and they will always interoperate and work with each other because it's a standards based technology.
Indeed. And yeah, and just to go a little bit in depth, so NFC, near field communication, also is kind of RF based technology, but that
Mhm.
operates in the lower frequencies, whereas RAIN RFID operates in the UHF band. That's how you separate, right? And although they have commercial names, they might have same underlying technology, but because of the specification standards and the frequency, they're two separate kind of products, if you will, isn't it?
Yeah, that is correct. RFID is often a catch-all for any RF or wireless-based identification technologies.
Yeah.
A bunch of different technologies get lumped into it, including NFC, including RAIN RFID, that the space that I am in, that Impinj is in.
Yeah.
And all of these technologies are standards based. NFC is a wonderful technology. It's done great things for secure contactless payments, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
almost exclusively use my phone to pay and not my credit card or cash.
Yeah. I could use
Um,
your watch too,
but
right? So that.
NFC,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But NFC works at, and it's designed to work at few centimeters.
Yeah.
It's designed to carry a lot more heavier protocol, if you will, because it has a additional layers of security and encryption because it's used for use cases like
Yeah.
payments. RFID or RAIN RFID, on the other hand, UHF RAIN RFID is fairly lightweight in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the protocol.
Mm.
The range it operates in is not centimeters, but several tens of meters. So
Yeah.
it's sort of a very different use case there.
Yep.
And in many cases, they complement each other very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So I did this article, about every denizen basically using RFID for food packages. I would assume similarly for other supply chain use cases, you need a much larger coverage area, much better, I guess, readability, and RF is very susceptible to metal and moisture and so on. So you had to come up with this advancements that you call Gen 2X. Tell us about that.
Yeah, happy to. Gen 2X is a collection of protocol level enhancements
Mm-hmm.
that Impinj has developed over the last, several years
Yeah.
through our expertise, our deep expertise in RAIN RFID.
Mm-hmm.
We're unique in the industry where we're the only company in the world that makes the lowest level of technology on both sides of the link,
Mm-hmm.
right? We make the tag chips, but we also make the reader chips.
Yeah.
And since the day zero and day one, since the beginning of the alliance, we have contributed and been a very active member, leader, author, contributor to the standard specifications.
Mm-hmm.
So all that's really great. But what it's meant is that Impinj has this library, this vast library of innovation that we're always eager to bring out to the technology,
Mm-hmm.
because we want the technology to solve use cases that haven't been solved yet.
Uh-huh.
So as you get into some of these use cases, like hard to read items like food or fresh meat and produce, which have ultimately physics challenge associated with due to liquids or metals and so on, or you go into applications like loss prevention, where it's not just important to know what items went through a threshold, but get a very low latency real time signal
Yeah.
so that you can sound an alarm when somebody is walking out of a store with an unpurchased item.
Mm-hmm.
You get into what I would call some of the harder use cases of the technology. So that's why we then packaged up all our innovation and brought Gen 2X under the umbrella brand of Gen 2X out to market a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What Gen 2X really is, it's a set of extensions and custom commands on in addition to the existing Gen 2 V2 protocol
Uh-huh.
that brings all these benefits for the hard to read use cases
Yeah.
and the low latency use cases,
Mm-hmm.
but does it in a very meaningful way wherein it's fully backwards compatible and can interoperate with the existing standards based technology.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that if you've gone the Gen 2X way, you're somehow supplier locked in or protocol locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Those Gen 2X based tags and Gen 2X based readers can continue to operate in standard Gen 2 mode.
Mm-hmm.
And when available, they can take the advantage of operating in the Gen 2X mode again to solve those harder use cases that the industry hasn't solved yet, but we are working very closely with several leading enterprises and our broad partner ecosystem to solve. So we're very happy about that collection of packages, and we've broadly licensed but also commercialized the technology through many partner products. So be it tag suppliers or reader manufacturers,
Uh-huh.
there are several dozen in the world that already support their end products with Gen 2X.
I see. So if a non Gen 2X, with standard V2 specification tag enters into a Gen 2 reader, it just reads it as if it goes through without any issue, right? So
Exactly.
and then when you have both Gen 2 on both ends, like any wireless technology, you get the benefit, correct?
Yeah, yeah. The analogy I'd like to use there is
Uh-huh.
similar to the evolution of cell phone standards, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, there's always that new standard, 4G or 5G or 6G,
Yeah.
that comes out.
Yeah.
To take advantage of that latest standard, you need to have a device that's capable of it,
Yeah.
but then you also need to have a cell phone tower or the cell phone network that's capable of it.
Yeah.
And when you're in a scenario where your device and the network both offer 5G,
Mm-hmm.
your device and your connection takes advantage of it.
Yeah.
But when it's not available, you fall back to maybe the best available 4G, right?
Yeah.
So that's the analogy I like to use. It's not exactly a one-to-one,
Yeah.
but it works in a very similar way where when we deploy products now through our partner ecosystem, uh, we have created a mode essentially called auto set,
I see.
where the readers, intelligently switch between Gen 2 and Gen 2X mode depending on the tag population, and then decide what's the best mode to operate in so that you can get the best readability outcome for that use case.
I see. Like if you have a mix of these things, you can, that doesn't affect the efficiency of reading or anything like that. Mix of Gen 2 and Gen 2X tags.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And in our data, we have seen that even a mix of as small as 20% Gen 2X based tags in your population
Mm-hmm.
uh, can make an overall improvement to your system efficiency. And of course, that number only increases as the population percentage mix of Gen 2X tags in your deployment increases. So at 20%, you start seeing the benefit. At 100%, you are a factor of multiples better in terms of overall system performance.
Okay, cool. Now, so when you look at the use cases like supply chain management with fixed readers instead of handheld readers, and so on, and of course, there is a lot of processing that you need, and then also moving to AI, which I'll come to in the next question. So there is more processing needs, I guess, on the reader chipset side. Is that so on the tag side as well, or
Yeah, the tags in itself don't do any processing,
correct?
right? They
Yeah,
just reply, okay,
simple.
I am tag so and so.
Yeah.
So all of the intelligence essentially lies on the reader.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, these readers were doing, like you said, very simple things, right? I
Yeah.
read 20 items sitting on a shelf and I know what these are.
Yeah.
Now they're getting into fairly complex use cases like real-time decision making on whether theft happened in a store,
Yeah.
or inventory counting, but also item position and location
Yeah.
within a store.
Yeah.
So the need for doing more and more edge processing with the data collected from RFID tags by
Yeah.
a reader
Yeah.
is sort of becoming need of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that coming from our vantage point.
Yeah.
So what we did very recently is Impinj has had the privilege of having a best in class in terms of RF performance,
Mm-hmm.
best in class industry leading RFID reader
Yeah.
called the Impinj R700.
Yeah.
And it's very well adopted and loved by the ecosystem, including large enterprises, the broader channel, and so on.
Yeah.
We just super proud to announce an upgrade to that where we essentially doubled the CPU processing power,
Mm-hmm.
tripled the memory footprint
Mm-hmm.
on the reader,
Yeah.
and moved to a standard architecture and operating system so that you can take advantage of all that data collection, but then do a lot of the processing at
Okay.
the edge.
Okay.
So that's essentially the Impinj R700, new and improved version, upgraded version 2, or however we call it. And we just announced that product earlier this week.
Okay, cool. So then, I mean, that takes us to our next discussion on using AI. As you mentioned, you can, you know, run even more sophisticated models, AI models on the reader itself for better efficiency, more use cases that are done on the edge, and also you can utilize all of the data generated by RFID for even better cloud-based. Application speed, better forecasting, and better analytics, and many things. And I would even see, data companies trying to get this data you can anonymize and then send it to data companies for user trends and everything else, not just related to that specific enterprise, right, on a larger scale. How do you see that market developing?
Yeah, that's a really insightful question, to be honest. And if you ask me, this is the space that I'm personally most excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I had the privilege of having a bit of a front row seat to AI development, both at my times at Amazon when I worked on, the precursor of voice AI with technologies like Alexa,
Uh-huh.
but then more so at Microsoft when I was partnering closely with NVIDIA on one side and OpenAI on the other side
Uh-huh.
to build the AI infrastructure of what eventually became, ChatGPT.
Uh-huh.
So I've firsthand seen the power that AI can bring to consumers, enterprises, just generally the whole world.
Yeah.
But then, as we've all learned and realized over the last couple of years, really,
Mm-hmm.
those AI models that run these, long deep training cycles
Yeah.
leverage a lot of data underneath,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
And today, when you look at the generalized large language models that we all play with and use
Yeah.
and love,
Yeah.
uh, you know, they are built on data on the internet in terms of text data.
Yeah.
Then they graduated to data in terms of image data. So
Yeah.
now they could, learn from that data and generate images.
Yeah.
And of course, that's expanded to all modalities, right? Like
Correct.
voice, audio, video, and so on. So
Mm.
these LLMs can do a lot of things in terms of understanding different digital modalities from text to audio to video and images, and
Yeah.
also then generate them.
Yeah.
What these modalities are missing today is any, outside of camera vision, any real insights of the real world and items
Mm-hmm.
in the real world around them.
Yeah.
So I think as in more the tag adoption happens in items.
Yeah.
You've already seen apparel, logistics, but generally as in when the consumer goods and products get more and more tagged with RFID labels,
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially creating these digital twins of
Yeah.
every physical thing in the world.
Yeah.
And enterprises have to do right by making those decisions on how they leverage that data. But the
Mm-hmm.
underlying data is a huge mine
Yeah.
for creating and contributing to these models to start creating physical world models around us,
Of course. Yeah.
and really connecting physical items and things in the world to these AI models. So I'm really thrilled about just how AI can use RFID as an input to the models. I'm thrilled
Uh-huh.
about how AI can be used on the big data to derive insights and create predictions on global supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all a very exciting space, and you're right, it will happen in a combination of both the edge and the cloud,
Yeah.
right? So we've taken the steps already to improve, as I said, the edge processing capabilities,
Yeah.
and we continue to innovate on the cloud side as well because we see a big future here for how RAIN of RFID based item level data with the combination of AI can really bring some very meaningful results for both enterprises and consumers.
Indeed. So, in view of that, how do you see the overall RFID market, developing and expanding in, say, next 3 to 5 years?
That's a great question, almost a crystal ball question, which I obviously don't have one. But again, from my point of view, one of the things that I got excited about as an engineer, as a technologist early in my career,
Yeah.
was this concept of Internet of Things,
Uh-huh.
right? I was taking temperature sensors, hooking them up to Bluetooth chipsets, and streaming them via mobile phones to a server, and then you kind of had this power of sensors at the edge and processing in the cloud, and
Yeah.
it was IoT.
Yeah.
But then I realized that all we had done as an industry was Internet of Digital Things,
Mm-hmm.
right? We had taken existing digital products and connected them up to the internet.
Correct. Yeah.
Where I see RFID, and especially as it's getting adopted through
Mm.
just everyday items,
Yeah.
right? From your like we talked about produce and groceries earlier.
Yeah.
We've already seen examples in apparel and clothes and shoes.
Yeah.
But your consumer products. I was at Walmart the other day and I saw a 97 cents box of crayons,
Yeah.
kids crayons that had an RFID tag on it.
Yeah.
So once your everyday physical items get connected, I see the reality of the Internet of Things, and actually things and not just digital items
Mm-hmm.
coming true.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm most excited about. Obviously, from a business perspective, I'm excited about the adoption of the technology in some of these adjacent spaces like food and grocery,
Mm-hmm.
like healthcare, pharma, like supply chain, logistics, e-commerce. There's so many to name
Yeah.
as industries that see the adoption. But if I just zoom out and look at the big picture, it's really the ability to have every single physical thing be connected and have a digital twin.
Yeah.
Of course, with the right constructs in terms of privacy and security around it.
Hmm.
But just giving that power to to future AI models and ultimately in the hands of consumers, I think will be super exciting.
Indeed, that was a great discussion, Gagan. Thank you very much for your insights. Looks like RFID has an exciting future. That means you can come back to Tantra's Mantra again and talk about how those plans have really panned out.
I'll be more than happy to, and thank you again for having me here today.
Yeah, thanks
My pleasure.
again. So, folks, that's all we have for now. Hope you found this discussion informative and useful. If so, please hit like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you are listening this on. I'll be back soon with another episode putting light on another interesting tech subject. And also, I'll include the EE Times article I wrote regarding every denizen food labels based on RFID. Please do check that out. And also, don't forget to check the links in the description about our other episodes and so on. Bye bye for now.